I'm Jeff Philbin, and this is Dinner DeeAs. And today, we're taking a basic box dinner and giving a little help to take it to the next level as I make my modern but tasty take on Hamburger Helper, keeping it simple but adding fresh flavor. Today's recipe is another idea for dinner on demand, this time for Dave and Bobby watching in Hudson. Hi, guys. They found us at facebook.com/dinnerdeas. Dave said, "Hi, Jeff. Love the show. My wife of 46 years says I make the best mac and cheese. Love to see your version. We watch every day." Well, thank you, you two. Thank you so much for writing to us. I wanted to make mac and cheese a little fancier, but without being too complicated or expensive, and to add a protein so that it was a better balanced meal. So let me introduce to you my modernized one-pot homemade Hamburger Helper. It's elevated enough for guests, but it's quick enough for a weeknight family dinner. And here we have already started inside a Dutch oven, just some sweet yellow onions. Now, I love to do this in the Dutch oven. The reason why I like to do this is that I'm gonna be able to bring in everything into this pot. It's giving me the surface area I need, the temperature control that I want, but also I can make sure that this is gonna be really, really simple and easy. Now, all I'm going to do next is I'm just going to bring a little bit of some garlic. And just some shallots. And I'm just going to work this in. Now, all I'm trying to do here is just to really awaken the garlic and the shallots here. So I just want to cook this for just about 30 seconds here before I start adding in my beef. I had this at a medium heat. I'm just gonna jump the heat up just a little bit more to about a medium high to have my homemade Hamburger Helper for your dinner tonight. Just grab the recipe with all the ingredients, the amounts, and directions ready to print at our website, dinnerdeas.com. That's what the box in the corner of the screen is all about. It's a QR code or a quick response code. You just open the camera app on your phone, point it at that box, and when it's in frame and in focus and big enough, you might need to zoom in. A link to us will pop right up on your phone's screen. Now, while that is starting to cook, let's think about how we can make this a really nice family dinner. You need a little bread, you need a little salad. So we're gonna go to a salad in a little bit, but first, let's start thinking about a nice bread option. Now, I had a little bit of ricotta cheese in the fridge, so I said, why don't I just make a nice little spread with it? So I've got ricotta cheese. I'm just gonna put a little bit of some olive oil over inside here. I just wanna have a richness and bring out a little bit more flavor. Really simple over here. We had some basil as well. I'm just gonna sprinkle the basil. Now, you could put as much basil or as little basil as you want. It's up to you. I've got just a little bit of some onion powder and a little bit of some garlic powder. And all I'm gonna do is just bring all these flavors together and just really bring everything from the sides of the bowl up and fold it in. Now, this is where, for me, I like basil. I'm gonna add just a little bit extra more. The reason why, it's still just too white for me here. I want to get that basil sprinkled in so I get that flavor and that freshness, that herbiness behind it. And this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, this is going to sit on a crostini later on, and what we'll do here, we can just set this to the side for now. It'll eventually go into the fridge because I'm going to bring it together with what's going to become my bruschetta mix. Simple over here. We've got some cherry tomatoes. I've just got some diced red onions. I've got some shallots. I like the crushed red pepper flakes on this one here. It's just a pinch. Now, if you don't want to add that, you don't have to. We're going to add just a little bit more basil inside here. Okay. We've got some garlic. We're going to hit it with just a little bit of some salt and some pepper. And then balsamic vinegar. Now, this is one where you want to get a really good quality balsamic vinegar. I want to have that acid bite behind it. I also want all these flavors to just soak and marinate. A little bit of olive oil. And now all I'm going to do is just stir and fold it all together. Oh, you can smell that balsamic vinegar. Now this you want to be able to sit and marinate. That salt's going to bring out all those natural sugars, and that's going to complement that beauty that's behind those tomatoes. And we're just simple cherry tomatoes. All I did was I just halved them, had them in the bowl ready for me to kind of do its thing. And that is absolutely perfect. Let's take a little bite here and just make sure I got all my flavors going on that one. Now, as I say, these flavors are going to meld and come together. But it hits. It absolutely hits. All right, that's really nice. This and a ricotta spread, these can go into the fridge until we're ready to use them again. All right, let's take a look and see how this ground beef is coming along here. All right, now this is really coming alive really nice. I'm just going to break up some of those crumbles here. Those last little bits here. Now this is where I love to be able to add just a little bit more flavor and what's going to bring some depth behind this dish. And that's tomato paste. Tomato paste over here in this step, one, it's early on in its cooking process, so it's going to bring all of the beautiful sugars, the sweetness, and the richness that's going to come from it. It's going to create umami. That's going to have you coming back for more. And because it's in this concentrated form, those flavors are going to be that much more intense. So we're just going to add a little bit in, and I'm going to work that in to my ground beef. And you can see that color changing a little bit. It's becoming a little bit more red. And that's exactly what you want. Once it starts cooking with all of the renderings from the beef, as well as that tallow that was my base layer of flavor, it's just going to infuse so much more flavor behind this in this depth. This is absolutely out of this world fantastic. While I help our hamburger helper get going, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we bring the flavor with spices and seasoning you probably already have on hand. Ahead on Dinner DeeAs. Welcome back to Dinner DeeAs, where I'm giving a hand to a humble store cupboard standby as I make my modern take on a homemade hamburger helper. Before the break, I got onions cooking in beef tallow, then added garlic and shallots, then my ground beef. While that cooked down, I got making a side, turning a baguette into bruschetta by making a spread from ricotta cheese, a little bit of olive oil, basil, garlic powder, and onion powder, then a topping of cherry tomatoes mixed with red onions, shallots, crushed red pepper flakes, a little more basil, and more garlic, salt and pepper, then balsamic vinegar and olive oil. And finally, I added some tomato paste to the beef here to bring the flavor as it cooked, and it smells fantastic. It is just absolutely just coming together with all these concentrated flavors of that tomato, but it's not over just yet with that flavor. Let's add in some dry spices. Now this is stuff that you could find from your cupboard. I'm sure you have this. I'm sure you have a little bit of some smoked paprika. Really nice to add in here. I'm just adding just a touch of some cayenne pepper here. I think that that's just going to just give it a nice little bit of a heat, but again, not spicy. It just needs a little bit. A little mustard powder. A little bit of some garlic powder. And a little onion powder. And we're just going to bring all of these together here. Oh, it smells so good. Now, while I have all of my dry ingredients together, let's start adding a little bit of some liquid behind it. Now, I wanted to have that umami flavor coming from the tomatoes. I also have a couple shortcuts here to just take this to the next level with that umami flavor, which is going to be a little bit of some Worcestershire sauce, a little soy sauce. That right there is actually the star ingredient. The soy sauce is what you want in this one. And just a little bit of some Dijon mustard. This gives it just that nice little bit of bite behind it that you need with all that fattiness that's happening with that tallow and our tri-blend, if you will, for our ground beef. You know, and what's really nice about this doesn't have to come out of the box right off the shelf. You have these ingredients already at the house. Just put them to use and have some fun. You could smell that soy sauce. You could smell that Worcestershire sauce, which is going to be really, really awesome. Because this is that base of flavor right here. Now we can actually add some more liquid. Because as I say, this is a one-pot dish. Because now I can be able to add in that liquid that's going to help cook our pasta in it. We got some beef stock. And we got a little bit of milk. Now, if you want this to be a little bit more rich, a little bit more fat behind it, you can use half and half, absolutely fine. I want it to, because I was using the beef tallow, I didn't need all of that. So for me, I went with milk, but if you want to go with a little bit more indulgence, you can absolutely go with a nice half and half. To go beyond the basic box and have my homemade hamburger helper for your dinner, grab the recipe at dinnerdeas.com. Just scan the QR code we have on screen to find us. Now, all of this has really worked well together into one base. It's perfect time to add my dry pasta. Now, I've got some cavatappi, or let me pull one out. What you can also see is that beautiful corkscrew. I like this because this is really what's going to bring it all together. When you're going back for that extra bite, it latches on so nicely and so easy to find. So I want to make sure that my liquid, my ground beef, and my pasta gets all folded in nicely together. And it's covered. And all I need to do next, I just need to put the lid on. We're just gonna have this out about a medium low for about 10 to 12 minutes here, and it's gonna do all the cooking for us. While this comes together under cover, we're taking a quick break. When we come back, what mac and cheese recipe would be complete without cheese? It's up next ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back to Dinner Diaz, bringing a little mealtime magic to Hamburger Helper as I make my custom homemade version, adding freshness and flavor. Before the break, I added dry seasonings to the pot: smoked paprika, cayenne pepper, mustard powder, garlic powder, and onion powder, then some liquids: Worcestershire sauce, soy sauce, and Dijon mustard, followed by beef stock and milk. Then added dry pasta, which is going to cook in all that deliciousness. That I'm using cavatappi. You can use whatever pasta you like, but the cavatappi, that corkscrew, it's what you need. Then covered it and let it cook. Now, would it be a mac and cheese dish if it didn't have the cheese to it? So I've already started grating some sharp white cheddar, which I find is really nice. It's going to have a nice burst of flavor behind it. It's also going to bring a nice creaminess because of fontina. So I've already started that. Now, you might be saying, I don't want to be able to grate my own cheese. Do it. Grate your cheese. If you were just to buy the bagged cheese that's already grated for you, there's so many different caking agents in there to make sure that it's not going to, start to come together again. All of those ingredients and those additives, not good. Take the time, make sure that you're getting a good quality cheese, and take the time to grate it. You're also going to find some value already in having this be in the block form, so you can be able to take a little bit, Ziploc bag it, date it, put it into the fridge, come back to it when you need to. So that way then you can have all these beautiful flavors when you need them again, but you're not going to have all those additives that's just going to cake that cheese together. This is going to give you the integrity of that cheese. Now this may seem like a whole lot, and it is, but I'm going to save some of this and shred it and use it for another shredded dish coming up. We're going to just fold in our cheese, and look at this. All of that beef stock, all of that milk, that has now allowed for it to be absorbed by our pasta. And this is really cooked all together in one pot. We're going to take some of our cheese here, and we're just going to gently fold in some, stir it, fold in some more, stir it. Now at this point, I've also dropped my temperature down to about a low heat. I don't want to burn any of that cheese, and I want to bring this in slowly so it can become naturally more creamy and not hit that bottom. As you can see, it's starting to melt together nicely. Now what I also like to add in, just to give it a little more tanginess behind as well, and a little bit more movement and creaminess in that last little bit, is just some sour cream. I find that this helps just give a little bit more movement behind it. And any of that last little bit of that cheese that was starting to really kind of melt and come back together, this helps thin it out just a little bit, but without having to take too much away from the integrity of this dish. And I want to just make sure I'm getting it from the bottom, folding it upwards, working the sides of this Dutch oven, so I can make sure all that cheese is nicely incorporated, folded in, and is melted together to make one ooey gooey cheesiness, delicious dish right over here. But gotta taste it to make sure. That is pure comfort food right there, my friends. That is absolutely fantastic. To grab the recipe for my one-pot homemade hamburger helper, go to dinnerdeas.com, scan the QR code in the corner of the screen to find us right on your phone. That is killer. We're gonna just turn the heat off completely at this point. I'm gonna put that lid on so that way then I can keep all of that moisture intact, and just gonna slide off its heat while we work on our salad dressing. Really, really simple over here. Now, I'm gonna have some sun-dried tomatoes in my salad, but I said, why not bring a little bit more flavor of the sun-dried tomatoes to make this beautiful dressing? So we're just gonna take a few, throw them at the bottom of what's going to become mixing together with my immersion blender. Little Dijon mustard. We got some garlic. We got some shallots. Very simple vinaigrette here. A little touch of sweetness with a little bit of honey, which I like. I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of some vinegar. I'm using some red wine vinegar. If you want to use red wine vinegar, you can. You want to use like a nice champagne vinegar. Another great addition to it is really, really nice. So we got a little bit of some acid behind that, and we're gonna come in with a little bit more because I'm gonna just take some nice lemon zest. And I always love to use a little bit of some lemon zest, and of course, some lemon juice. Very nice. Let's hit it with just a little bit of some salt, a little bit of some pepper, and let's slowly start bringing this together here. I want to get this in two phases here. I want to be able to get my tomatoes, those sun-dried tomatoes, pulverized and smooth and consistent before I start adding in our oil. That's really where the emulsification is going to come to make for a beautiful dressing. I'm also going to slowly incorporate some of the oils that were from my sun-dried tomatoes. It's got a lot of flavor behind it. And instead of just throwing away the jar, I can be able to really incorporate this beautiful flavor in. And we're going to hit it with just a little bit extra olive oil to finish this up. And that should do it. Let's take a little taste here. See how all that comes together. You get the acid, you get the sweetness of the sun-dried tomatoes. It just takes literally everything that you might already have inside the cupboard or inside the refrigerator to the next level. One more break before dinner's done, and when we come back, how to turn a boring baguette into a beautiful bruschetta. Ahead on Dinner Diaz. Welcome back to Dinner Diaz, where I've been making another recipe by request, this time for Dave and Bobby and Hudson, who wanted my version of mac and cheese, which I've turned into homemade hamburger helper. Before the break, I added cheese to the pot, grated cheddar and fontina, plus a touch of sour cream for a velvety finish. Then made a quick salad dressing for a side, mixing sun-dried tomatoes, Dijon mustard, garlic, shallots, honey, red wine vinegar, lemon zest, and the juice, and just some olive oil. Used it on some bagged mixed greens, mixed with sun-dried tomatoes, red onion, and shaved Parmesan, and it's coming along really, really nice. And I want to teach you all some kind of a pro tip here. I toasted some baguettes here, olive oil, salt, pepper, put it onto the broiler, which was a nice little finish, got all that color. But I want to get a little more flavor. So I'm going to take a garlic clove, and all I'm going to just do is just kind of rub it along the coarse side here of my baguette. The oils will absolutely come alive, and because of now this texture, because it's now been toasted, it creates a greater grip for it to actually start kind of grating it. That's all I need. Just a little bit is going to go a long way. We're just going to finish it with a nice little bit of a dollop here of our ricotta spread. All I'm going to do is just kind of put it from top to bottom there, pop it onto my plate, and then finish it with just that bruschetta mix that has everything coming alive so nicely into the center here. That basil right there. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Thanks again to Dave and Bobby for writing in. I hope you guys get to try this and let me know what you think. The recipe is for everyone who wants it. It's at our website, dinnerdeas.com. I'm Jeff Philbin. See you next time with more ideas for dinner, as we call them, Dinner Deas.